Hey Birb Squad, what's up? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Happy Valentine's Day, whether you're spending it with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your burb. So in a previous video, I spoke about how my Quaker parrot, Popples, was showing signs of aggression, and I thought that maybe at the time that one of the possibilities would be because he thought that I was his mate. And I didn't really elaborate at the time because, like I said in that video, I was kind of confused and didn't really understand as far as like that an animal that would be so supposedly intelligent would see me as their baby mama. Well, since that video, I've been educating myself. I've been doing a lot of reading and talking to vets and trying to find as much information as I could about this subject so I could work with my birds more and correct my own mistakes and help you guys with your horny parrots as well. Before we get into the video, I'm also very aware that there are some members of the Burb Squad here that are still pretty young, and if you are still under your parents' roof, I do ask that you please ask permission from your parents first before watching this video. We're not going to get into anything like too graphic and inappropriate, but there are going to be some terms implied about certain behaviors that I would honestly prefer that you hear from your parents first, not from a bird video discussing PG-13 behavior from birds. I also understand that some of you are sneaky little buggers, so I will try to be like Disney and camouflage some of these meanings in a creative way to where only adults can understand. So if you're wondering why your sexually frustrated hormonal parrot may or may not see you as your mate, then keep on watching. So I see questions all the time, whether it's on my video or other people's videos or online, questions concerned about why their parrots all of a sudden hate their owners all of a sudden, or why are these aggressive behaviors just coming out of nowhere. Although the answer to some of that can be from my previous two videos, if you haven't watched those already, you should definitely check those out because that may be the answer to some of your problems. But there's also a missing piece to that puzzle that I had finally figured out, and this could be the reason why your parrot has been acting the way that it does. And that answer is simply just parrot puberty. Now, all parrots, like other animals, humans, we all go through puberty at different stages and different times in our lives. For example, budgies typically go through puberty around like 5-6 months, and cockatoos usually 9, and then other conures and medium-sized parrots, it goes typically around like 2 to 3 years old. And then you got the larger species like macaws and cockatoos that usually go around even 3 to 4 years old before they go through puberty. So you may be wondering, well, what happens when your parrot goes through puberty? There are many signs that your parrot is going or about to go to puberty. Obviously, it differentiates from bird to bird, and you may notice that before, when you first got your parrot, the bird was just, all in all, just this perfect bird, well-behaved, and it was just cute and cuddly and did everything that you wanted it to do. But then, out of nowhere, your bird starts testing you and testing your authority and doing things that you don't really particularly like him doing. Yoshi. And they could be exploring different areas in the house that they had never even considered going to before, whether it's your kitchen, garage, bathroom, anything like that. And if you have a male cockatiel, for example, you may notice that he's whistling more than what he used to, or strutting around like he owns the place. And then you got some parrots that are showing more aggressive behaviors like biting and getting extraterritorial than normal. And a lot of us make the mistake of labeling that as behavioral issues or something that your parrot just out of nowhere just became mean. When in all actuality, that's normal behavior and it's somewhat to be expected, especially when they're going through puberty. It's one of those you never know what you're going to get. But the biggest thing is, like I've said in previous videos, to just not take it personal because your bird does not hate you. Your bird out of nowhere decides, hey, your bird doesn't all of a sudden decide that he doesn't want to be around you anymore and just hates your guts. That's not true. So just don't take anything that your bird is doing personal. But also just keep in mind through all this stuff that just because they're going through puberty does not mean that they are ready to breed. That is a whole video in itself. Now, around this time when your bird is entering puberty, it is very common that they may regurgitate for you, which a lot of you probably already know is a sign that they're trying to impress you, they're seeing you as your mate or whatever. And you may notice that they may regurgitate towards you a toy or a random toaster oven. They'll pick weird things to regurgitate for, and you may be left wondering, like, why does he do that? This part of the talk is usually when people get kind of uncomfortable and weird because we don't really want to think about our birds being in a Chex-Mix relationship with their humans. So it kind of leaves this awkward talk where you're like, this is just weird. And yes, I totally agree with you. It is weird, and don't feel like you're immature being weirded out by this situation. It's just something to remember that this is normal. It's part of what they go through. It's just one of their phases, and it's okay to talk about it. And you may have noticed that your birds are taking a stroll down Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. They're rubbing up against the trees. This is completely normal behavior, and if they're exhibiting this with you, it is completely normal. Unfortunately, a lot of people see this as a problem that they need to fix, and the typical way that people fix this problem is getting your parrot a companion so they can regurgitate for and fulfill their need for Chex-Mix. And although I do fully agree, getting your bird a little companion is a great idea. It helps socialize them and keeps their mind active when you can't do that 24/7. However, I don't think it's a good idea for when your bird is hormonal, your bird is exhibiting breeding behaviors. I would not run out and get just any bird and be like, here you go, buddy, regurgitate. To me, that doesn't solve anything and can actually make your problems worse. Although, yes, technically, physically, they can be involved with Chex-Mix, but they are not mature enough to yet, and it can actually lead to problems down the road. Okay, so now that we've established that birds go through puberty and some of the signs that you may find, do they really truly see you as their one true love? And how do we take control of the situation? Now, if you've had a bird that's been hand-reared, which I've talked about in a previous video before, it is actually very beneficial and can save you some problems down the road. Even though it's great to have a hand-reared parrot, if you think about it, it's kind of setting us up for future problems with birds thinking we're their mate. They've been around humans practically their whole life. Of course, this is setting them up to think that a human could be their companion. Parrots are very Chex-Mix driven. And at the time, they have all this built-up frustration. And if they don't have an outlet to release some of this tension and frustration, this is where they release the energy on you. A favorite toy, the toaster. It could be anything. It's whatever they find as a release for all this frustration and tension that they've built up from their need and want of Chex-Mix. Do these two dudes actually look at me and go, dang, mama, you fine. Let's have some babies. It's just a release of tension from all the hormonal frustration going on in their little birdie bodies. So how do we, as the parrot owner, take control of the situation and discourage certain behaviors that we kind of want them to steer away from? If your parrot has determined that you are his mate, his outlet for releasing all this energy, for one, recognize and ignore it. When you see signs that your parrot is in this Chex-Mix way of thinking, acknowledge it, notice that it's happening, and just ignore it. Do not play into this by hugging and petting and kissing and cheering them on whenever they throw up in front of you. They just have them step up, put them back on their cage or play gym or whatever, and just let them do their thing and ignore it. Don't acknowledge it. Don't thank them for it. Just leave the room for a minute or so or until you notice that they've stopped, and then go over there and just start talking to them again. You don't want to play into this and kind of give them more of a reinforcement to do so. And no matter if they're regurgitating in front of you, sharing their Slim Jim, getting aggressive, anything like that, any of those signs, you need to put them back at their cage, away from the situation. Do not reinforce it whatsoever. Now, as far as a birdie companion, I obviously feel that it is really good that birds do have a companion, that they are well socialized, and it's great that they get to experience their own kind. Even though that I do have a great relationship with both of them, it's great that they have each other and to actually have a bird that they can connect with. I don't agree, however, though, if your bird is starting to show hormonal behaviors. Did you just poo on me? I would hold off on getting your bird a companion at least before they enter puberty or after when they're done on the breeding season, just because it can cause a lot of confusion and unwanted behaviors. Happy, well-socialized parrots actually keeps their mind active and keeps them distracted in a sense from what the hormonal things are going on with their body. If they are busy with their new friends, and if they have plenty of toys, light noises in the room like the radio or TV, they're going to be distracted and less likely to act out on their hormonal behavior. Hormones are still there. Your bird may still act out every now and then. The more socialized and distracted they are, the less likely they're going to act out. Avoid nesting, any form of nesting materials. And definitely avoid longer light hours. Like basically what you need to do is just mimic the winter sun, which is basically 16 hours of complete darkness and then 8 hours of light. The more that you have control of their environment, the more that you're going to be able to control those behaviors and discourage the ones that you're not really fond of. For their diet, avoid starch, fats, and avoid warm foods because that kind of kicks in those breeder feelings and gets them more in the Chex Mix mood. If you have a female parrot and she is currently laying eggs for you, if she's laid a clutch, that's about like 3 to 6 eggs, and if she's sitting on them, I recommend that you just leave her be and let her have her time and make sure that she is getting plenty of vitamin E and calcium in her diet, because the last thing that you want is egg binding to occur. And ultimately talk to a vet, because that is the most important thing, is to talk to someone that knows how to handle this and gets to know your bird too on a personal level so they can help you out. If you notice that there's certain toys in her cage that are kind of stimulating to her, I recommend that you remove those from her cage immediately the moment that you see it occurring. I also realize that vets are super expensive and it may not be an option for you, but I will leave some additional readings in some articles that I found to be super helpful for me. Hopefully that will help you out. Now lastly, petting. This area I wanted to speak on separately and in its own little category. Now, before your parrot enters puberty, and let's just say you get this parrot around like 3-4 months old and they have just been weaned, they're still in that baby phase. And I know some people are going to disagree with me on this, but I do think that it is super important that you do pet your bird and you hug them and cuddle and give them birdie kisses. I truly believe in the beginning you do need to form a close bond with your bird and just enjoy being with each other. You want to be able to coexist with each other and be happy with one another. I feel like establishing that in the beginning is going to really help you in the future. But if you do start to notice that your birds are showing some Chex Mix-like behaviors, I recommend that, yes, you follow this chart specifically. It really helped me out, and I see this chart everywhere, and it is so true. The moment that you start to think that your bird is starting to enter puberty, then yes, cut it out. Keep the petting to a minimum in certain places on the bird's body. Another reason why I wanted to talk about petting in a separate category is because I had a commenter on one of my early bird videos. She flipped out on me when she saw a clip of me petting my bird's stomach. Yes, she is very much so right that petting the bird's stomach is definitely a no-no zone for petting. But I also want you guys to know that just because you pet your bird's stomach for like 2 seconds, it is not going to give your bird a stale Slim Jim. Observe. Oh my gosh, ladies and gents, she touched my stomach. I need Chex Mix. This is outside of the baby bird phase, and he's starting to enter puberty, and I'm doing that repeatedly, constantly throughout the day. Yeah, that's going to sexually confuse him. And yeah, I should not pet him like that or cuddle with him. Touching him here on his stomach is not going to put him into birdie breeding mode. He will be just fine. It's the constant rubbing and showing affection in areas that he should not be shown affection that's really going to make him sexually frustrated and show more Chex Mix behaviors to you, or a toy, or the toaster, whatever. Notice that a lot of people in the pet community hear one fun fact about a bird and it's blown out of proportion. You should love your bird. You should hug your bird, cuddle with them. Just knowing when the appropriate time is what's really going to help you. Love your bird, pet your bird, but do it in the appropriate times, in an appropriate way, and you will be just fine. And also be prepared for when your bird's starting to show hormonal signs. Prepare yourself and have a plan of action and know what you're going to do to help control the situation before it gets uncontrollable and your bird is showing unhealthy behaviors towards you or toys or whatever he decides to unleash some of his energy on. Make a customized plan for your bird, not everyone else's. My plan for Popples is going to be different from Yoshi because they are completely different from each other. They have different personalities. So the way that I go about it with these two may be a little different. It all depends on the bird and what each bird is going through. If you guys haven't figured it out already, there are very few absolutes with parrots. So they're all different and they all need to be treated as their own separate individual. You guys are still experiencing some hormonal behaviors that you're not sure how to handle, and all these tips and tricks didn't really help you out too much. And if your parrot's still a horny little booger, you may seriously want to consider seeing a vet, because there are some more hormonal stuff that they can do, because they're professional and they know what they're doing, and they can see your bird personally and see what he or she needs. And I hope that this video helps you guys out and kind of give you a little bit of an outlook on how birds see us, and it can make sense on how to help them. If there's something that I didn't really cover enough for you, definitely ask in the comments. There are some great people here that were willing to help you out. And if you feel like I kind of skipped over or missed something in particular, definitely feel free to add in and help other people out as well. Don't forget to check out my description box, because I do have some pretty cool books linked and some articles that you should definitely check out too, and I think that'll make things click a little bit more and kind of get a better understanding with your birds. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to peck that subscribe button to join the Bird Squad. I'll see you guys later. Happy Valentine's Day. Bye. Don't forget to treat yourself.